Story 1. The need to classify everything into extremes is a challenge. Social media fuels this tendency, where every idea, person, or event is either glorified or demonized, leaving no room for nuance. This polarization creates virtual cultures that distort reality, turning opinions into absolutes and losing complexity along the way. Additionally, we disconnect from the real world by living in digital bubbles that prioritize instant validation over reflection. Not everything needs to be profound or categorized. Sometimes things just are. Story 2. How monetized everything has become. Free third spaces are becoming harder to find, and it seems like an increasing number of people don't pursue normal hobbies or interests anymore unless they can turn it into a side hustle. Story 3. How self-centered everyone is anymore. I work in a doctor's office and have for over 20 years. It is sad to see how many entitled people have a "hooray for me, to hell with you" attitude. The sheer audacity of the general public is astounding, and I can definitely say it's getting worse. Story 4. Everybody is being a keyboard warrior, but in real life they are too scared to even look in your direction. So much negativity. Entitlement is unreal, whiny, even if they are the ones that create their own problems. Even when you confront somebody about it, they are always like, "I mean, yeah, but," just absolutely no accountability, no honor, no integrity, shortcuts galore, no pride. Why do you need to drive on the highway or road and at the same time be on your phone? Why do you need to always be on your phone? Everybody is an extremist. Everybody needs to be special. There's probably more, but that is all I can think of right now. Story 5. People's deteriorating attention span. Look at TikTok and Instagram Reels, for example. There are videos only 10 to 30 seconds long because no one can maintain their focus on anything anymore. Just mindlessly scrolling for that dopamine hit after hit. Story 6. How everything is a big deal. Everything is an emergency. There is doom and gloom and crime and chaos everywhere, and the world is ending. I blame 24-hour news networks for starting it, and social media for taking it to a whole new level. Human society is in much better shape than it has ever been. It's not even remotely debatable. You want to know how I know? Because at a global level, there hasn't been even a hint of a war on the scale of World War II in 80 years. By human society standards, that's amazing. We haven't stopped fighting, but our modern weaponry is capable of incredible amounts of ruin and death. Yet, we don't see conflicts on that scale or really any interest in it. Those wars are ruinous. It takes decades to recover, if recovery is even possible. Getting into such a war is a massive risk for the ruling class involved. Ethnic relations, at least in the United States, have never been better. You know how I know? Let's test it. Who would you rather be in 1825? A 400-pound white man in his 20s or an average-looking, in-shape black woman in her 20s? Who has better prospects in dating, careers, life expectancy, social acceptance? Now, which would you rather be in 1925? Who would you rather be today? The world is fine. It's not fine for everyone, but it's more fine than it has ever been for more people than ever before. You all just chill. There's no need for all this constant outrage. Story 7. Lack of privacy. Credit reports, rental histories, you and your family members' DNA and databases, everything you have ever done or bought or sold, and most places you have been is on a national security agency server somewhere. We shall see how that plays out in the next 4 years. You know they will use every tool at their disposal to get at their enemies. Story 8. People having minimal morals or conviction once money or power is involved. It's disheartening seeing so many people who will say they think a certain way or hold certain strong moral beliefs and then go against it as soon as there are any benefits in doing so. Story 9. People are too trapped in societal or groupthink because of everything, really. Many people live their entire lives strictly adhering to a societal standard of the "what will they think" mindset. Literally, nothing in life makes sense. It's fine to search for a little bit of sense in it, but I just don't think it's good to be totally guided by people who claim to know more. Story 10. How difficult it is to have a no-phone or offline day without needing to check my emails or say happy birthday to an aunt on Facebook or something stupid. It's so hard to completely disconnect. Story 11. Vain people will step on anyone and everyone in the pursuit of what they believe they are entitled to. Vanity is the reason why money is the root of all evil. Greed cannot exist without the vain belief of "I deserve it, so I should have it." Vanity has existed for as long as human history, but only recently have we begun to actually celebrate and encourage being vain. It's disgusting and disappointing, to say the least. Story 12. I'm tired of people my age, Generation X, and older being so incredibly desperate to feel superior to young people that they revolve their entire personalities around trivial things like bragging about drinking from the hose. They constantly complain about how this generation is so easily offended and then overreact when the pancake syrup bottle changes. And heaven forbid you say that your parents weren't neglectful or abusive. You'll be shunned immediately. It's pathetic. Story 13. I might get downvoted for this, but this realization is based on how Reddit users like to interact here. It's just saying everything needs some variant of therapy. Minor issue? Therapy. Sad thought? Therapy. Just reminiscing about a memory a lot? Therapy. Mental health is important, yes, but just because a minor negative issue seems extreme to you, that doesn't mean therapy. Too long. Didn't read. Please leave it to the actual professionals. Story 14. The culture of tipping is not an issue in my country, but I don't like how entitled some people are to the point of demanding a 20% tip. It's supposed to be optional. Story 15. We have reached a space where we have access to more information and guidance than ever in human history, and seem to believe and be motivated by things that are blatantly false and against our own interests. It's maddening and disappointing. Story 16. The disinformation is so rampant that you can't keep up with it all. People who really need to know facts won't even try to learn what is true and what isn't. Story 17. That people aren't as accepting of facts anymore. I will see a comment that corrects someone for giving out false information. The correction has 0 likes while the comment with the wrong information has thousands. The original poster will even double down in a very oh well manner and still get likes. Story 18. We glorify ignorance and anti-intellectualism. It has trickled into most aspects of society, especially entertainment, and ironically enough, even our educational systems. Story 19. People who say they did their own research actually looked up someone else's research that fit their biases and agreed with it. People who are against vaccinations look up articles that oppose vaccinations and not articles that discuss the benefits of vaccinations and conclude that those who support vaccinations are wrong. Story 20. The level of willful ignorance married to smug, ignorant intransigence. We were better when there was a bit of humility in the mix, and when we weren't all overgrown children parading around in our parents' clothes pretending to be grown up. Story 21. Everything about it is fake. We have divorced ourselves from the natural world. We do not need to make a living, but we have created a society that requires that work. We are not here to do, we are here to be. Story 22. Bruh, people talk to me in person? Delightful. Try to put me in a box? Boring. I am far too complex and interesting to be captured by a profile. There is no space you can give me on a screen which encapsulates the experience of my being. This applies to you too, dear reader. No person truly fits on a screen or in a profile. Story 23. People who think they don't have to hear anything they don't like. An example is Donald Trump at the prayer service yesterday. He didn't like that the minister asked him to show mercy to humans, and now he wants her to apologize to him for hurting his feelings. And a Republican in Congress said she should be on the deport list. What a bunch of snowflakes. Story 24. The means by which media is presented to us. All articles are presented with attention-grabbing headlines, but then have 4 paragraphs of filler and a one-word answer to the headline. Story 25. The pervasive and proud idiocy. The utter contempt for facts and expertise. The loud and proud ignorance. The assertion that your right to be outraged overrides someone else's basic right to live a peaceful life. All of it whipped up by anonymous online trolls enabled by self-serving, profit-worshipping tech executives. Oh, and the fact that people can't follow simple instructions to list only one thing. Story 26. All the hate and lies spread by people who do nothing but spend time in their bubbles reading or listening to opinions on social media or news stations, and then repeating misinformation as facts. We've become a hateful and vindictive country. We always blame others. America is struggling because we'll never change. It's easier to blame others than to look inward and make a positive change. If we all started holding mainstream media, politicians, and our favorite rumor spreaders accountable and told them they were lying to us for money, they might eventually change their tune, but we are all apathetic and lazy. Story 27. The pace. Everything is always go, 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 and everyone's value seems to be tied to how well they can keep up. It's unnatural and unhealthy to be this busy all of the time. Story 28. The lack of interest in intellectual pursuits. People do not want to learn anything for personal enrichment. They just want to learn something that will get them more money. Story 29. Stop avoiding the idea of not offending people. You are going to offend someone just for being you. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works. Whether it's genuine offense or offense just for attention and ego growth, who knows? As long as you treat others with respect, you have nothing to worry about. Story 30. How much time we spend socializing from a screen instead of living in real life. I'm not a total hater of all things tech-related. I love being able to do my grocery shopping online, as I always hated grocery shopping and derive no value from small talk at the store. I'm sure everyone has a few things they find have improved their quality of life in this way. But when it comes to genuine connections, texting memes back and forth isn't the same as face-to-face. And I think people have forgotten how to socialize face-to-face. The older folks don't take the time to do it as often. The younger folks raised in the social media environment never learned how to get off their phone and go chill in a coffee shop or park together. It's not the same, and it's not healthy at this extreme. Story 31. People view experiences through their phones instead of being in the moment. When I go to concerts, there is a sea of cell phones up in the air recording. I see so many people who watch the entire concert through their cell phone screen. Why? You paid to be there, so be there in the moment. If you want to watch it on a screen, open YouTube. It's the same with visiting other countries. People think it's odd that I don't have my phone out the whole time. I'll take a few pictures, but I want to experience the sights. I feel like people miss out when they are so focused on getting the perfect picture for Instagram. Story 32. Not only are the ultra-wealthy increasing the gap between themselves and the rest of us, but many people on the relatively low end of that spectrum are enthusiastically supporting it. Story 33. The extreme focus on negativity and hate, especially in social and news media. Social media specifically was sold to us as a way to bring us together, but mostly it has just divided people and made them more biased and resentful. The saying used to be, "Misery loves company." Now it's "Misery is throwing a party and you're all coming, whether you want to or not." Story 34. Everyone expects you to be available and reachable all the time. You cannot completely turn your phone off without upsetting someone because they expect you always to have it on. Story 35. Being a parent means you and your spouse both have to work hard and then come home and still have energy for kids, cleaning, and so on. I wish it were normal to get by with one salary like it was for previous generations. Story 36. The solving of non-problems, especially in user interfaces in digital spaces. For example, cardless, cashless event venues that require you to download and use their poorly functioning apps to gain entry, purchase parking, concessions, etc. What often happens is the app won't work, and events are postponed or delayed because of this streamlined system that wasn't necessary to begin with. Story 37. How isolated people are from one another. Family units are expected to be self-sufficient when in the past whole communities came together to raise children and help when someone was sick. Our capitalist work culture makes it so we have very little time to enjoy with family and friends. By the time I get home from work, cook dinner, clean up, and put our baby to bed, it is nearly time for me to go to bed. Rinse and repeat. I just wish I had more time with my family and that we did not feel so isolated. Story 38. The lack of critical thinking. Stop group thinking. Stop taking what people and the news say at face value. Do the research. Listen to others. Pay attention. The internet is free. I swear people are ignorant but are so mad when they're called exactly that. If you don't want to be a fool, then educate yourself. Again, the news is not an educational learning tool. It's entertainment. Story 39. Modern work culture. We've created a terrible abomination. Everyone is replaceable. Good and efficient work is invalued. Everyone is competing against everyone. Unreasonable expectations and deadlines everywhere, and so on. The modern workplace is such a hostile, draining, unrewarding environment. Story 40. Everything feels so artificial. You've got people who think meat initially comes from the supermarket, health conditions that get nothing but band-aids slapped on them, etc. Story 41. It seems we are becoming low-attention monkeys addicted to our chosen drip feed of rage-provoking media. This leaves us with a lot of pent-up anger when we engage with these topics in the real world. The extremism leaves us with a degraded ability to embrace nuance and compromise. Complete domination is the only goal, and compromise is the mark of a traitor to the cause. It is going to rip us apart unless we get savvy. Story 42. That everything is a commodity. Love is seen as a commodity bought in the imaginary dating market. Certain traits are highly sought after, ones that tend to be shallow and materialistic. I could say the same with art, music, movies, and literature. None of it is the way it was in the past. It is as though there has been an acceleration that has suddenly led to the world becoming soulless and commodified as a whole.